Today I'm here to answer some questions. I asked you for questions a few weeks or even months ago at this point, and I've been screenshotting some and I have them on my phone here, but yeah, I'm just gonna pick as many as possible and answer them. And we're gonna talk about my relationship, being a parent, minimalism, sustainability, swimming, my sexuality, gender stuff, and I'd say now let's just get started. Actually, let's start with like a easy, light, and fun one. It's about swimming, and I love hearing about your cold water adventures. I am wondering what temperatures the water generally is for you. I am swimming in 52 Fahrenheit right now. It is invigorating. I love it. So yeah, I can agree. And honestly, for me, the water has been anything between, in Fahrenheit, it must be 44 degrees, and now maybe 70 degrees. So I have to say, I don't really enjoy it so much when it's really, really cold, near freezing. Now we have light problems here already. It's gonna be an issue in this video. I already see it happening. I think I really, really, really love the cold of it when the water is around 50 to 60 degrees, and then it already gets a bit warm, so there's no like cold aspect really. Also, I've heard that for women specifically, it's not super healthy to swim in super, super cold water. Like it doesn't have to be bad, but there aren't like real health benefits like there are for men. So for women, as I'm understanding, the best health benefits will be around like upper 40s, lower 50s in Fahrenheit. I think in translated to Celsius, that means something like the best temperatures to swim for women is something like 12 to 15 degrees for like health benefits because of the cold. But then it's just, it's fun, it's okay, it's fine, it's yeah, we all should just take care of ourselves. So that's the water temperature situation. I've actually been swimming over 30 times now this year, and it's definitely time to move on to the next question. And the light setting is already off again. The next question is about minimalism and cooking. And oh, I'm gonna read it to you. Hello, I would love to know if you have ever looked at minimalism and cooking, using minimal ingredients or spices, or cooking only a few meals on repeat. Cooking is my hobby, and I end up buying many different spices and condiments when trying new recipes. So honestly, we kind of have the same problem. We have so many spices, so many ingredients. We have more and more storage space that we use for food, and on one hand, that's fine. Like, that's just what it is, because I like cooking too, or especially like I don't always like cooking, but what I do like about cooking is like being able to do all of these different things, trying out new tastes and recipes and things like these. And that's also actually something I need to kind of be happy with my relationship to cooking. So cooking for me is definitely both like just a necessity because I need to feed myself, but then also it can be joyful because I like eating new and different things. I have thought about it, and I think I've more so used minimalism in a sense that I prefer cooking my meals myself, mostly from scratch. But I'm like, when it comes to the kitchen and cooking and food in general, I'm just not very strict at all. So we have like some almost ready-made, no, it's like some frozen stuff that we can just heat. We have so many different spices. We have processed things of various kinds. I try to eat as healthy as it fits in my schedule and my stress levels, and I try to eat many different things, and I think I try to have a good relationship with food, and I try to have fun with eating. That's my approach right now that works best for me, but I think there are so many different other things you can do, and also a very minimalist kitchen can be a good idea. We do that when we're going like traveling, camping. Sometimes in Airbnbs they have almost nothing, or when you go camping you have to do with very minimal ingredients. So it's a good skill to have, but at home I also prefer having a bunch of different things. Also, maybe electronic like kitchen devices. I try to limit these because they take up so much space. So now let's talk about queerness. There have been 2 questions mainly, so I'm gonna read them both to you. Hello, Leah. I know this question is personal, so feel free to ignore it. Thank you. I will ignore the questions I think are too boring or I don't want to answer, or that just don't fit, or I don't know. You say that you're queer, but you have a boyfriend. I'm confused. Could you please elaborate? And then the other one is, where are you on your self-discovery journey in terms of gender and sexuality? Only share what you're comfortable with, of course. Thank you for these questions. I have made a video about my queerness, so naturally I'm kind of fine with it being talked about here. So my queerness does not have to do anything with my boyfriend because there are so many ways to be queer that would not make it impossible to have a boyfriend. My gender identity, for one, if I'm a woman or not, he can still be my boyfriend as long as he identifies as male, right? And then on the other hand, I can be bisexual or pansexual, so I can feel attraction for multiple different genders, and men can be one of the genders I feel attraction to. And so that's kind of the case, both of these things for me. So on one hand, I don't think there's really a limit to the genders I could feel attraction to. And for now I go with the label bisexual, even though I actually do like the label queer because it's just more open and it doesn't like, yeah, but if you say this, then that must mean this and this and this. And honestly, I don't know what everything means because I want my queerness to also be a possibility to not restrict myself to who I am as a person and not put myself into other boxes, you know, after coming out of a heteronormative box already. And I do talk more about these things in my video about my queerness. I'm gonna link it up here for you if you're interested, if you haven't seen it already. So for now, I do go with the label of bisexual. And when it comes to gender, I'm not sure. So that's why queer is what I like, because it kind of is a good umbrella term. And I know some people don't like this word. I really, really want to reclaim it. And for my generation, fortunately, it doesn't hold any really negative feelings. I do understand if it's the case for other people, but then I don't know, we're a huge community and we have to find ways. And I'm trying to not be harmful to anyone, but I also need, and we as a community need to reclaim things and need these umbrella terms as well, especially because, as I said, I don't want to put myself into boxes again. Yeah, gender. I'm fine with she, her pronouns. Maybe you've seen on Instagram. I have she, they there, so I'm fine with they pronouns as well, which means I am somewhere under the non-binary umbrella, but I haven't found a label for myself that really fits. It's just I'm not fine on many different levels with being seen as only a woman the way, you know, this works, because I don't feel like that inside of myself. I don't want to present like that. I don't want to have the roles and responsibilities and restrictions that come with that role usually, but it's a very complex topic, so make of that what you want. You can address me the way you want. You have been for the past years, so that's where I stand right now. Okay, when we're already talking about personal and difficult stuff, let's talk about this one. What is your opinion of letting go of close family members who are toxic, manipulative, jealous, controlling? Do you think new generations are more willing to let go? Do you think the age of our parents was different and that makes it complicated for them to open to new ways of life? I think it's complex and it there might be tendencies, but I think also that it's a case-by-case thing. So on one hand, I think no one actually goes no contact without reasons. The reasons can be because, like, if I'm the person going non contact, I'm just really overwhelmed. The reason can be entirely on the other person, them being super controlling and manipulative and not respecting my boundaries. But I think it's not something, because that's a bad misconception that is out there, that people just go no contact to be mean. I don't think we do that, because especially when we go no contact with our parents, I think this is kind of a like hard thing. Like, I totally understand if you don't have like the best relationships and the closest relationships, but I think going non-contact is a step. And so I do respect that, and I think whenever you think that's better for you and that it's the best option for you right now, I think we can do that. I have not gone on contact with my parents or like super close family members. I've definitely like restricted contact sometimes. And I've like had friendships that broke up where I don't have any contact anymore. I think there's two things we should really consider with that. And on one hand, that's like ghosting should really be used with care. Like, if you're in danger, if someone is really manipulative and doesn't like listen to you, even after you telling them your boundaries again and again and again, yes, of course, ghost, they like, you tried everything else. In any other case, it would be better if we found a way to communicate and to say, like, to get closure for ourselves and for the other person, and to set boundaries. And maybe also this could make it possible to actually not go non-contact, but to just set strict boundaries. And then on the other hand, I think breaking up a relationship or like changing a relationship drastically is always something that we can reconsider again. Like, especially if it's with family members. Of course, it's not always possible, and there's a lot of hurt involved on both sides, I guess. But you can reach out again after 5 years. It doesn't have to be forever. And about the other part of the question of like the older generation not being able to understand new ways of life. Yeah, a bit maybe. But then also I think there's so many like older people who are very open and very understanding of change and new ways of life and just being accepting. So I think it's not an excuse. Just because someone is old, it's not an excuse for them to be ignorant, racist. But maybe it is true that older generations have, on one hand, learned other things from their parents and grandparents, so they felt like they had to be, I don't know, very respectful to their elders, and now they feel like they're not getting the same respect from younger people. But when you hear things like that, I think isn't really about respect anymore. It's about feeling entitled to something. And I think that could be true as well. You know, these people grew up in times where we still thought we can exploit our planet, and where we still thought that privilege is something bad or weird and not something that most of us have and have to be mindful of. But still, I think none of this is an excuse. And if we care about the people in our lives, we can learn, and we can learn to be better friends and parents and just in better relationships with them. And so it's just, you know, we can all learn no matter how old we are and of which generation and upbringing and what we had previously believed. Okay, let's go back to minimalism. It's 2 questions, I think. How should one follow minimalism in a daily hygiene routine? For example, when you went with a small bag to travel with almost no clothes. How can one feel clean? Because I don't shower for a day or change my clothes in 2 days. I smell. Another question, would you be interested in using natural products which are available from nature with zero chemicals for maintaining the hygiene of oneself and surroundings? House, laundry, kitchen. So on one hand, traveling with a very limited amount of luggage does not mean I'm not showering and changing my clothes, because as you could maybe see, I then would wash my clothes on a very regular basis. So underwear every single day and t-shirt as needed. That can be every second day, or if I'm really not sweating much, then maybe it's even fine to wear for 3 or 4 days. And the same goes for pants, and that's why I brought hiking pants that dry really quickly and all the things like these. So I think it doesn't have to be a problem. And minimalism in general, and also these natural products for our everyday lives, I think we just have to see what works for us. Again, it's kind of always like that. Because for me, for example, I've seen these people online who declutter deodorant, who declutter shampoo and body wash and soap, because they say like I don't smell, I can wash my hair with water, I don't need deodorant, it's all fine. And that's not the case for me. My hair gets greasy, I start to smell. But again, I can use the products that I need for that. There's no problem. But we have a problem with the lighting. As for like the really natural products, what means natural? I think that's maybe the first question. But then also, I've used chestnuts for laundry detergent. That does work. And honestly, I just have excuses why I'm not doing it, I think. Because it was a lot of work, but it actually did work quite well. I've also made my own deodorant and lip balm before myself. And I think for cleaning, I like to use vinegar with like citrus peels. And so I've tried a bunch of these things. And actually this shirt I've dyed with onion skin. So this is not like hygiene. But I think, yes, try it out. Whatever hack and things you find to use like products from your garden to clean your house and your body, try it out and see if it works for you. Because I think it depends on where you live, what products you have available to you, your body, your routines, and whatever works, wherever you can be like actually zero waste and not buy anything, that's great. But if it doesn't work, don't beat yourself up and just find the next best solution that's maybe still as sustainable and minimalist as possible. Oh, and there's a question about my reading. So I've been reading a lot the past a bit over a year, I think. And so people are asking, how do I have the time to read that much? Now, honestly, I haven't read a full book in over a month. Like I've been reading on this book for over a month. It's because I did also watch like a Netflix show. And I think that is part of the answer already. Like, if I read a lot, then it's because I'm not watching TV, I'm not watching YouTube videos, I'm not watching Netflix shows, and I'm using a lot of my free time to read. Now, the other thing is, I think we are all privileged to a certain extent, right? And I think, pretty privileged when it comes to time. I have my part-time job in social work, then I can talk about that next. And I have this YouTube channel. I am a parent and I have households to partly take care of, but I still find that I have enough free time. So I do have a few hours on average a day. There are weeks where I have no free time and there are weeks where I have a lot of free time. And I just use a lot of that free time to read. Now, during the past month, I haven't finished a book. And I think that's because I've been meeting friends, gone swimming, went traveling, worked a lot. And so there's no time left over for reading. And so I think, again, don't beat yourself up, find whatever works for you, but it's definitely a prioritizing thing as well as a privilege thing. And I think that's just something we need to keep in mind. And I think no one is like a better person for reading more or something like that. Audiobooks could really help a lot of people manage to read a lot of books just because they're able to listen to them while doing other things. So that's maybe an idea. Okay, I promised to talk about my social work job, and I've got questions about that. Let's see. I'm curious, do you have a job besides your own job? Like, what is your background, and do you have a career, or do you just flow? And another person was asking, like, more specifically what I do in my social work job, and if I wants to get a master's degree. So a master's degree doesn't really make sense in my situation because in Germany there are not really a lot of jobs for master's degree social workers, and so it would actually make my job prospects worse when getting a master's degree. That's at least what I know. Or said differently, I absolutely don't need a master's degree for the job I'm doing right now, and I'm fine with that. So I have another job. Yes, I have a social work job. It's a part-time job. And I don't really want to go into detail too much what I'm doing there, just for like privacy reasons, and because this is not supposed to be a part of this YouTube channel. I don't really have a career. I think I'm more so going with the flow. I have this job and I'm committed to do a good job there. I like my team, and it's rewarding, sometimes difficult, meaningful work. And I plan to stay in this job for a while, and there would be possibilities from this job to move upward or to somewhere else. There are like possibilities. So I'm really not afraid. And I'm also absolutely not afraid to, you know, lose this job, because there's so many people needed in this area of work. And so I'm actually just pretty happy where I am right now. I'm glad to also work with people, and my job provides me with a lot of money and some meaning. Sometimes it's difficult as a social worker. It's always difficult because you're kind of helping a system that's not great. And so you're sometimes doing things that you maybe think are not actually ideally the best solution, but then also day to day you're actually helping and taking care of things that need to get done. So it's always a bit of this and that. There's another question about minimalism with kids. To that, I also just want to say, find the solution that works for you. I also have a video that talks more about minimalism with kids that I think answers a bunch of these questions that I will link you up here. Another question is about minimalism with a partner that's not a minimalist. For there, I would say just keep in mind that if they have like the need to have a bunch of stuff and you have the need to not have a bunch of stuff, I think the best like equal solution is you have space that can stay empty, they have space that they can fill up. It cannot be the solution that they just fill up all of your space because you don't need the space because you don't have stuff. I think that's maybe a good thing to think about, but other than that, again, find a solution that works. Start with yourself. If you know, of course in partnerships it's always, if you can't agree on something, then it's a bit complicated. But if it's just like a mild annoyance, then I think the best thing is to just focus on yourself and make sure you are happy with the things that you own and you do. And if things are important to you, talk about it and see if the other person at least can understand where you are coming from. To not make this video super long, I think we're gonna conclude this here. If I did not answer your questions, maybe ask me again under this video and I will get back to you in the comments, or maybe you can also help each other answer the questions. Other than that, keep in mind that there's Patreon, where there's an extra podcast episode every single week, so maybe check that out. And otherwise, I'll see you in my next video, or in this video here.